boom, bum, ba boom, bum, ba boom, bum. But I am boom, boom, ba, boom, ba.
Okay, so we are on top of page Kufayin Gimel, Mamash on top, the first line. And we have discussed quite extensively the principle of the name. Even in the moshel of the human being, we recognize that a name is something which is representative of the person himself. But it is representative of the person, exactly that, representative. It is not the person himself. And its presence is due to the fact that the person has an inherent duty, so to speak, and a shaykhus to benefit and to influence the outside. And thus, this union of name, even though as we recognize it, it's as entirely an external, a functional aspect for purposes of reference, but in fact, it is rooted in the very essence of the person himself. There is that point that can be referred to as Etzem Hashem. In other words, the union of the name, not in a functional reference at all. Etzem Hashem, the essence of the name. Because there's an essential element in having a name. Thus, when we talk about Lamailo, we are on top of page Kufayin Gimel, right, the first line. We talk about Lamailo. This was all for the purpose of understanding the Indian, ultimately Lipnei HaTzimtzum, but right now, at first, we are just translating the Indian Hashem as it is Lamailo. First, at the lower level, so to speak. The union of the Esesphires is called Rosa de Shmo. Why is it called Rosa de Shmo? Rosa means a soin, the secret, which means the concealed, the inherent element of the name. What does it have to do with name? The principle is the same as we discussed, because name is for the purpose of being known by this name, and there is this union of Rosa Dishmo, that there is the essential element of name, not only when it is needed to be referenced, but there is an essential element in name. And this is the union from the Rosa Dishmo, that the Esesphires, as they are clearly in the Matzil, now above Atzilus. Atzilus is where the Esesphires are already begili. This is comparable, so to speak, in our moshel to being called by name. Then there is the Esesphires as they are, including Be'etzem in Keser. because ultimately the Inyan of ultimately coming begilui and expressing itself in the world is something which is rooted in Etzem itself, which is called Rosa Dishma. We try to give us a kind of a sense of a handle. What is the significance of the fact that this name is rooted in the Etzem? There's an Etzem Hashem. So for this we use all kinds of different misholim, and overall the misholim are to point out that any external relationship that a person may have that may appear to be just a convenience, a momentary convenience. The fact is that it is something which suits his very essence. Like we said, our table, it's a convenient thing. This convenience is a reflection of the essence of the person. Like when we spoke about the principle of loy signoiv, remember, that was a very important discussion. So we pointed out that this union of gneva, of protecting oneself against gneva, exists. We pointed out at three levels. There's an absolute practical union which is comparable to an animal. The animal goes also protects its turf. Against intruders. Then there is on a human level, that a human being his protection is not a hands-on protection of his turf. He needs, so to speak, the peace of mind. That's why he has rules, laws against thievery. Because he can't live without these rules. Why not hold the gun in your hand and you protect your turf, like the lion? A human being cannot live like this. I'm not going to go through the whole discussion, but this is not just. And then there is the Etzem Hashem, the Etzem Inyan of that the reason that he cannot live like this, and where does he get, so to speak, the claim, the right to claim that he has a right to protection, is because essentially the world was created for him. It's his world. The Eibusha gave the world to him. It was created for him. He is the one who gives the world, as we discuss all the time, gives the world its status, its meaning. Without a human being, the world is totally insignificant. The human being and the world are synonymous in terms of, if we talk about a real world. Like in our Moshel, he is the invited guest. An invited guest has to be provided for. Cannot be exposed to, no, you're okay, you're invited, now go find your place. Therefore, on the practical level, on the total and the functioning level, when a person has the opinion from Lo Signoiv, this provides on the most practical level, on the lowest level, on the higher level of giving him a sense of peace of mind, and on the higher level that he feels like a human being. He feels like the reality, and that is actually recognized throughout the whole thing. This is even on the final level. Usually, a human being senses this inyan. If he doesn't, so he should sense it. You can lose in this world. You can lose sense of who you are, but that's what a human being is. Those are the rosa d'shmo, that the inyan Hashem, which is an external thing, relates all the way up to the essence itself. And this inyan that there is inyan from Esses Spheres correlates the world not only to Atzilus, where there is the spheres themselves, but even above that, even to Kesser, where the spheres are contained within Atzmus and Seif. This principle that it relates back to Atzmus and Seif, this we illustrated by the Moshel, that if you are in somebody's home, so there are all kinds of different etiquette, how you behave in a home. You have to respect the furnishings, you have to respect the various goings on and so forth. What ultimately is a home? It is not the walls, and it's not the decorations, it's not the tables and chairs. It is the presence of the host. This is what makes a home a home. And the sense that you're in a real place of respect and a sense of presence is due to the presence of the host. This is Pshat when the Rosa Dishma. That yes, we have a created world and we have all kinds of hashpois and so forth. What gives the world a real presence, a real respect, is the fact that there is a melech, that there is a creator present right here. And it is all his domain, and it is all within his presence. Okay, so this is the Ayin. Now that's a sphere including Be'atzmus Be'er in Sov HaMatzil. It's also Shemus, but this is called Etzem Hashem. There is such thing as Etzem Hashem. Shem is not created for convenience purposes. Shem is from Etzem Hashem. So we were talking about Oyer. In Oyer it was difficult to point this in out, so we transferred to referring to Shem, to name, because name and Oyer, the Rebbe says, are Oyse Inyan, the same Inyan. Okay. So this was just, so to speak, a recap to where we're up to now. Okay, on top of the page. Ukmoi kein kufan gimel. Ukmoi kein yuvon be'oirin sof shelifnei atzimtzum. Now we're going even further up. We're saying that the similar principle can also be identified in oirin sof shelifnei atzimtzum. Not only identified, but we will have now a means to understand it and to relate to it.
Question on Raza Dishmei.
Yeah.
Raza Dishmei, the words imply to me that this Tikkunim is like the Raza. This is what really is the significance of the name. The Raza. This is like the when you get to the bottom of what a name is.
No, Asar Tikkunim.
Yeah.
This is beginning Gilui. This is the Tikkunim in Atzilus. As a schwierig Mensch including bei so Hamatzil, das ist Rosh Dishmei. Das ist Etzem Hashem.
Oh, Raza Dishmei is another term for Etzem Hashem.
What?
It's another synonym for Etzem Hashem.
What?
Raza Dishmei.
Right. Rosa Dishmei. Rosa means the name before it's identified.
Okay.
Rosa means the secret, from the hidden state of the name, from the hidden, the essential state of the name. There is a phone that's not muted, just to remind you, please, gentlemen. Boy kein Yuvan Bayirin Soiv, Shelifnei Hatzimtzum. This similar, from this we can come to understand the Ein-Sof Tzimtzum. This whole discussion here to transfer from oil to shame was for the purpose to be able to understand how this union is in Ein-Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum. That's what we started in this section. That the Ein-Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum, there are also madregas. There is etzem ha'oil and there is just pashus ha'oil. So the Ein-Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum. Now, what is the difference between what we said Ein Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum and Ein Sof after the Tzimtzum? Because just a line prayer, we said Eses Filik Meshin Kuin, but Ein Sof Hamatzim. So this is called Ein Sof and this is called Ein Sof. But Ein Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum strikes totally differently than Ein Sof Achar Tzimtzum. The Ein Sof Achar Tzimtzum, this is what we said the union from Chozer v'Heir. Chozer v'Heir means that there was a Tzimtzum, and the Tzimtzum effectuated that there should be a mokim ponel, a vacancy, a vacant place. And then into this vacant place was a nimshach oir. And we explained that the principle of hamshocha, oir is nimshach. Even though this oir that's nimshach is actually the oir shelifnei hatzimtzum, but there is the element of hamshocha. Hamshocha means that there are two states, present and not present. Prior to the hamshocha, it's not present, and then the hamshocha makes it present. Therefore, when we say that there is a non-presence and a presence, we can more readily understand that if there is a non-presence and a present, the present has definitive elements. Otherwise, what's present? This is why we say that in this oil there is inherent the rosa de shmo, the union of Eshes Filis. Let us take. Do we understand this? Or sure?
I missed this last piece. Sorry.
This we spoke about it many times. Then after the tzimtzum is found in for hamshach. What does hamshacha mean? You bring something in to a place where it is not. If you bring something into a place where it is not, it means that there is a difference between before it came and after it came. Before that, there was a vacancy, and now there is something there.
Yeah.
So this something has to have some kind of definitive presence. Otherwise, what is the hamshacha changing? And if it has a definitive presence, therefore we say inherently there is the union of the shame, of how it is going to be known.
If it has a definitive presence,
then it has an inherent element to be known. Otherwise, what is the difference between being and not being? The motion for this concept is the sun or the nefesh ha'odam. The sun is also an atzmi. We have always said atzmi is etzem behiri. And we explained the whole principle how a sun is an etzem. That the light of the sun is light, not fire. The fire is only the camouflage of the light, so that it should fit into natural world. But essentially what the Rebbe created is light. And the sun is the luminary that provides us light. Now this Indian that the sun is light, and it's an etzem for light. Despite the fact that it's an etzem, it is bound and limited to be in that state. It cannot conceal its atzmius. It's an etzem in that definitive and limited fashion. It's an etzem l'gabe the from oyer. It's not an etzem on the higher level. It cannot conceal its atzmius. Etzem behiri. All etzems, except for the oyer insertion lifnei atzimtzum and before that, the atzmus is all an etzem. Like in the atzmus, we say there is no oyer. He creates oyer, volitionally. Everything else does automatically have oyer. The nefesh ha'odom is like a atzmi, but it's an atzmi chai, etzem chai. The Rebbe gave it an atzmius of chayus. The Rebbe gave the sun an atzmius of brightness. But that is where its atzmius is. In what sense is its atzmius? Like we said before, the Indian that the sun is brihiri is not due to some kind of a natural process that creates this light. Its presence is light, presents light. And this is why the sun can go on shining indefinitely, thousands and thousands and thousands of years without diminishing an iota. If it were produced by consumption of fuel, then the fuel has to be reduced. Has to burn out. Like by Moshe Rabbeinu. Asneh boyer ba'esh, v'asneh na'inenu ukol. Everybody knows what I'm referring to? Doesn't fit into the world. Clearly there's an etzem of fire. It's not a fire that's based on the sneh. Because na'inenu ukol.
Yeah. That was all to explain which the chayz of a
No. So therefore there is chaz of a right? And therefore there is oyer in soif le'achar hatzimtzum. Because it's chaz of a but it's chaz of a to be oyer in soif le'achar hatzimtzum.
That's to say it's definitive and ensof.
That's right. And that's why inherently there is esesphiris. Because its inyan is it has to be oyer. For the sake of worlds. Shaychas lo elamus. Therefore, inherently, there is inyan of esesphiris. Okay, you with me?
Why is there inherently?
Because that's what this is about. To go after it to be nimshot, you should be b'shaychas lo elamus. That's the lashon in the Maimer. That's what the whole effect of the tzimtzum is. And the oil acquires a shaychas lo elamus. What's made a shaychas lo elamus? What qualifies it? What's a qualifier for Asachas Leimus? Oilums have to have these two states, present and not present. In world, there has to be these two states, otherwise it's not in world.
And what is that?
This is why a human being is defined as present in the world, starting from Chochmah on down. Because above Chochmah, Ratzon and Oile, there isn't two states, present and not present. That is not part of the world.
So what does that have to do with the spheros? Present, not present, and the present.
Spheros. What is spheros? Spheros is Rosh Nishmai.
Structure.
Like name. What's a name for? To be present for the world. What's a name for? To be known by the name. Ultimately. And it has an inherent, an atzmius, to Mashakla, an atzmius element.
What's the presence, non-presence though? The presence is the sphera, is that's giving it.
Things. Okay. Non-presence, just like in the sun, there is a presence and non-presence. What is it? What is the presence and non-presence in the sun?
Day and night.
No. Day and night is when the sun.
Presence and non-presence in the sun.
Good question. I'm glad you pointed this out. What is presence and non-presence in the sun?
Presence is the sun itself. It has a presence. Non-presence is that there's a world and the sun's present only by way of ha'ara.
the sun is present only by way of a light. Above light, it doesn't exist. Now it's atzmi. Just now we discussed this.
Yeah.
It's an atzmi, but it's not an atzmi in the absolute sense. The idea that sun produces light is something which it's bound by it. It does not have an absolute presence, that even when there is no light, it also is present. It's not true. So this is something which is created in a certain specific way.
Some kind of definition.
Some kind of definition. Beyond that, it doesn't exist.
That's what it means non-presence.
Non-presence doesn't have the essential presence.
So the tikkunim, the esophagus, this is the way that the Ein Sof is known. This is the way that the presence of the Ein Sof in the world.
That's right.
Beyond that,
it is for that purpose. It has a definitive presence. Beyond that, it doesn't have a presence.
But whereas the Etzem,
there's
no
no limit.
There's
no limit. This is the difference between the Oyer Sof Shilifnei Etzem and the Sof Nachar Etzem. Nachar Etzem it's a Hamshocha. Hamshocha has a certain definition. Gives it a presence. It's not just there for no definitive, defined purpose. Oyer Sof Shilifnei Etzem, that is reflective of Atzmus. Atzmus is Bligvul, like we spoke about the other day. That's why it's Mamash Ein Yisod. Do we get the point?
I think so.
I want to, since the time is closing in, I want to reiterate a very clear concept that gives us a sense of this. That a person owns a home, and the principle that he owns a home, we discuss it a lot, it really means that the home, this place is mamash his. And let me demonstrate that principle. When this cup is standing over here, and it's occupying this space, like, physical item occupies space. When I move this cup from here to here, it does not take this space with it. It doesn't really own that space. It's borrowing the space for the moment. When you move it away from here, that space was not touched. And even while the cup was standing there, the space was not really affected. Not owned by the cup. It's borrowed.
Does not own the space, yeah.
It provides for it. It allows it to stand there. That's about it. A human being is a real presence, a real essence in the world. And he, Talki, owns a piece of the world. He has an infant ownership. Even if he is not there, it's still his property. In contrast to the hardline animal, it doesn't have that kind of presence.
Saying the relationship between a person and space is different than anything else in space?
Than anything else. Space
Even when he leaves the space, or even when the space mamish retains some kind of...
No. I'm not talking about the effect of his state on it. I'm talking about property that he owns.
Yeah.
It's his. Doesn't have to stand by it and declare it's his. It has an inherent jacket. Okay, so a person owns his home, and he owns a home, and as we said, every crack and crevice in the home. He doesn't have to visit and touch every crack and crevice in the home to claim that I need this for this purpose and this for this purpose. I don't have to explain why I need it for. It's mine, my dwelling. And if I should, as we said, expand my dwelling, make it twice as big, I don't have to expand myself. It's automatic. I'm there automatically. This is Pshat Oyer. Of course, my essence is there, and therefore I occupy this whole space automatically. But then, if we should project and say that offer a person a dwelling of the Empire State Building, the Empire State Building is your personal dwelling. Can we say that he spreads and occupies the entire Empire State Building as his dwelling? You couldn't even begin to relate to it. Therefore, that is not real. That is a fictitious situation. He may own the Empire State Building, and his ownership is only that he can prevent others to enter it, but because it's mine. But not that he lives there.
Where is this from? The or has a limit? What's being...
Because the etzem has a limit. His etzem is limited. Therefore, his oir also is limited. Oir ein soif means that because Atmos is bligvul, the etzem, so the oil is ein soif. There's no place where it is not. Not no place where there is a place and it's inherently ein soif because the etzem is ein soif. Is there a limit how much this oil can spread? No limit at all. Why? Because it represents the etzem. This is the mashal of this. It's very definitive, clear mashal. So the oil in soif shelifnei hatzimtzum is mamash oil in soif, because it's oil that is representative of the presence of atzmos. This oil has an etzem quality. In this oil, say being that atzmos wanted to be represented in oil, and this oil is oil in soif, but it is being represented in oil. By definition, oil has two elements: etzem oil and hispashus oil. And hispashus oil, this is where we continue tomorrow. Hispashus oil, this is like the shem of the soil. Even though this is still ifnei hatzimtzum, and it is basically based on etzem mamash, not etzem ha'oir, etzem behiri like the sun, or etzem chai, but etzem atzmos mamash. Nevertheless, there is the inyan of hispashtus, which meaning there is the inyan of the name, because it's oir, not etzem. It is after that atzmos decided to represent itself in oir, not the way it is in etzem itself.
It is after Hashem made this choice to represent himself in oil.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
And now we will interrupt till tomorrow morning in Mitzvah Hashem. Have a good day. Call to. I want you to convey our appreciation to your wife for coming in.